sanctuary if you're ready tonight. I know that it's all so heavy. Won't you let me inside? 'Cause I could be your sanctuary.
What's up guys, hope everyone is doing well. In today's video I'm going to be resuming the typical updates that I've been going over recently. At the end of the video I'm going to go on a long tangent with regards to the content of this channel and many other things. A lot of it may be very shocking or surprising to some of you. Some of you may even unsubscribe because you don't like what I'm saying. At the end of the day I don't really care, but anyways, let's get into the content. And perhaps some of you who may be new viewers have already clicked away, but oh well. Anyways, here on this monthly chart, I just wanted to go ahead and update how we are continuing to see this nice sustained movement towards the upside. What I do want to point out is I do think, and my personal bias right now, just to state it, this channel is not worth or meant to be financial advice. I'm just going over my personal view of the market. I believe we are most comparable to August of September of 2020, which means I think of the two scenarios I see as most likely right now that we're either going to head after we get done with this sideways, maybe we go back down to 23, 22, 20,000 at the worst, but after that, we're going to basically enter the next parabolic movement to the next bull run. If we get a relief rally, I think we would push no higher than approximately 40 to 55,000, and then we probably likely come back down to around 24, 27, 28,000, that general bubble range if we see the relief rally. If we start to, as I mentioned on my community tab recently, if we start to lose 20,000, that would be getting here on this monthly chart once more, getting entrenched back below this moving average band you can see. And also, some of these charts you won't see the vertical and horizontal crosshairs, nor can I draw anything on hardly any of these charts. So hopefully my cursor is enough. It should be enough. It's pretty large. So hopefully I shouldn't really need to draw anything. But I just wanted to go ahead and point that out just in case some of you just like for whatever reason can't follow, but I literally can't draw anything. I mean, I think I can on this chart. So I can on this chart, obviously, but some of these charts I can't draw on. I don't know what's been wrong with my trading view recently, but it's just been acting very weird. Outside of that, to move off of that tangent. So we can see right here, you can see we closed our previous candle. In our current candle, we have about 24 days left. But our previous candle we closed opened above all of these moving averages that are, you can see, are pretty clearly converging on each other right now. You can see red, yellow, pink, and these two blue ones right here. And these are, it's important to note, we've got from the second top at around 70,000 down to our lowest low at around 15.3 thousand, 15.5 thousand. We went from November 2021 to November 2022, so we are in about a year to a year and a half long bear market, year and a half going all the way back to the $64,000, $65,000 high. So seeing this movement, these closings opening above these moving average, or seeing them converge and tighten up after seeing a prolonged bear market, either, like I said, we're going to get a relief rally up towards 50,000, 45,000 approximately, then we'll move back down, or we're going to get a bull market similar to after the March crash. Just adheres to the phase cycling system I went over in my previous video. I'll have that linked as a card if you didn't see it or if you're new to the content. But if we just go back and we compare each time we got to close and open above these moving averages I'm pointing out, it lines up with, like I said, mentioning August, September of 2020, this final move towards the downside before we got this parabolic leap towards the upside. Also lines up with this top, this relative high right here. So I don't think it's really most proper to compare it to this because it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I wouldn't consider this to be really the top of a relief rally. I mean, you could consider it just because this was obviously a major bear market back here from 2017 to 2019. That's what we've seen recently. But I just don't personally think that. If that is true, that would just likely move us down to retesting of our previous absolute low, or going even further if the bear market's not over. But I think what it's most comparable to is obviously, as I mentioned right here, August, September 2020. But also if we go back to right here, June, July of 2016, this is when it happened back here. seeing closing and opening above every single one of these moving averages I'm pointing out. And then we got this, you can see this red candle. So basically, I think what is most likely is we're seeing this final side consolidation generally, but obviously we're moving towards the downside. I believe we're seeing this final, pit stop basically before we see the major move towards the upside. If we go all the way back here, you can see that we started doing the same thing right here in this general range of towards the end of 2012, and that's only got the move into this super cycle, which according to the phase cycle theory that I mentioned and everything, that is also what we're currently in. We're currently in our third iteration of the super cycle, the second half of phase 1, and it started from around the March crash, and we set this low right here in November, which would line up with this low right here before we got this second move right here towards the 2013 top. Well, outside of that, let's see, let's see. You can see how if we take a look here at this RSI, we're back above this 52 horizontal line right here, which has been typically important for the beginning of bull markets going back in the past. You can see the same thing has happened right here with respect to our 0 point here on this MACD. Once we get entrenched below it, come back above it, typically that is implying these a total switch of the momentum, which the fact that, hopefully you can just pretty clearly see, especially most of you watching this video are probably people that are familiar with the content, so I'm beating a dead horse half the time, but you pretty clearly see here there's a pretty clear, to be redundant, picture being painted out. But here on this 2 weekly chart, again, just to mention it, you can see right here, we saw an entangling of these moving averages. If I take this off, you can just take a look at it. This area right here, our current bear market, if you just compare it all the way back here, they look essentially identical. If I am allowed to, well, actually I don't even need to do that. So right here and right here is essentially the exact same point, and it was a total flip into the next bull market. Again, that's personally what I think is most likely. I don't think we're going to see that drop below 20,000. Also, just to further point it out, within the range that these two highlights point out, again, these arrows pointing to these bubbles, I believe we're getting this final drop towards the downside. Whether or not we go to 20,000, 23,000, or whatever, likely what I just think is it's the final move towards the downside before we see the next parabolic move towards the upside. If not, then we'd see, like I said, that move to 40, 45,000. Then we'd sit there and sideways, slightly downside consolidation until we then finally, after that pit stop of consolidation, then get this parabolic leap that I'm mentioning about, generally to 200 to 300,000, with a center point of around 250,000 in terms of the next all-time highs. I think actually. So here again, this MACD that I've been going over, you can see obviously it's come down, like the price has been coming down. As long as we don't start to lose this green range right here, I don't really think there's anything to worry about. Just like I don't think there's anything to worry about until we start really coming close to 20,000 and closing and opening below that approximate price range or target. I would really just pay attention to the daily. 4 hour typically would be the lowest one to go down to. So I mean, if we start to close and open below 20,000 in the 4 hour, just as likely, probably not as good, but to get some sort of advice here, it's not necessarily financial advice, but just stick to like the 12 hour to the daily time frame. We also could see here again, this overall trend line range that I have pointed out or drawn out on here, this blue one. You can see if we do come down and make an even lower low, that could line up with generally approximately 14,000, with more specifically around 14.2 thousand, or even higher, just again approximately retesting 15,000. If I were to carry out this trend line right here, you can see that also just all these are converging around in this general area of around 14 to 14.2 thousand. So if we do continue to go lower, that could likely be the next area that we do head to, assuming we lose the moving average band right here. And then obviously, like I've been saying, $20,000 here for this 2-day chart that I've been going over recently. Again, we've broken out of a curve linear or linear, however you draw it, falling wedge pattern, macro, falling wedge pattern, broken out of our linear 16-month resistance, found support on it, bounced back above. We continue to bump our heads here. Moving average band, 200 estimated moving average sits at a range of 25 to 27.2 thousand roughly, which is our current local low set back in 21st of April this year. So again, either we come down to this range right here, these white dashed trend horizontal trend lines, 24 to 22.7 thousand. Below that, 800 EMA sits at the 20.9 thousand, just approximately $20,000, like I've been saying. So if we start to lose that, not good. And then also, I mean, we could come down right here and test, like I said, the previous lows we set. Worst case scenario, we come all the way back down and we retest the lowest curve linear of this falling wedge pattern right here at just specifically 9.7 to 10,000, although I don't personally think that's what's most likely. And if Bitcoin goes that low, I would start to question the fact that I'm in this market in the first place. I don't feel like Bitcoin's really living up to what it's supposed to be doing, and also just the general cryptocurrency blockchain solution market if it were to actually go that low. Here on this daily chart, just to further zoom in, really nothing really to update here. Again, if we just start to lose, the 800 EMA sits at 26.9 thousand, so losing 20, I'm just going to go 27,000 on the dot will be the confirmation. We start to close, open below that on the daily chart, going down no lower than a 4-hour chart. That would then insinuate an implication being moved down to the 200 estimated moving average, which sits right now currently in between this 24.7 to 23.1, $23.2 thousand area that I've been pointing out, which just lines up with this kind of this model bullish megaphone pattern, which is what I believe we're seeing after we got the breakout of the 60-month resistance, the curve linear or linear falling wedge pattern, however you draw it, however you want to look at it. This is the daily chart. Again, just to further zoom in, or estimating, the estimating moving average band and the 800 estimating moving average. Again, this sits right now 27.7, 25.6 thousand. So if we start to lose that here on the daily chart, and then we continue to go even lower, below 26.6, 26.5 thousand, that can insinuate the movement similar to this fractal pattern I have on here, down to this ascending trend line range, these white dashed ones. If we do see a fake out similar to how we did back here, then we could just come down and test this overall ascending range. You can see this goes back to this this double bottom right here that we set, which is includes the absolute low at around, or specifically $15,473 on the dot. But if we start to lose, basically, again, I mean, it's really all just lining up with 20. I'll just say, I mean, if we start to lose 20,000 to 22.5 thousand, that I mean, like I've been saying, it's just not going to be good. Although I don't personally think that's what's likely. But let's see here. If we zoom in again once more on the 4-hour, again, just to further point out, 20,000 also just lines up with this lowermost trend line going back to the double bottom of our absolute bottom range, 15.4 to 15, or my bad, 16.3 thousand approximately. You can see we're kind of entangling within these trend lines I have right here. So if we lose this white one, which is currently, we're just right above it right now, we're essentially right on top of it. We start to see volume support strength towards the downside below 28.5 thousand, then 27.8 thousand, and then $27,000 likely will start to fall through this pattern that I have right here, and we could likely just come straight down to this yellow trend line range that I have drawn out on here as well. And then obviously if we lose that, it's just going to line up with these 3 price targets right here that I've been just continually pointing out so far. Just to quickly go over it, let me look real quick. There's not really any major divergences that we should be looking out for so far. Let's see, I'll go back to the 2-day chart. Nothing really major to that. If we look here at Ethereum, still not really much there. Actually, if we do, you know what? I'm going to forego what I was going to say there, because I found that the stock RSI is usually not, at least the one that I use, not really good to rely on in terms of divergences. But anyways, Just focusing on the price here. Ethereum continues to butt its head in this range that I've drawn on here for quite some time. The first time I had put this range on here probably goes back to around March of this year when we got this fake out, if you will call it that. Start to lose around 1800, which lines up with the estimated moving average band or cloud and the 800 EMA. Then that's going to signify either a move down to 1600 on alignment with the 200 estimated moving average. If we lose that, then we would likely come down and test this dotted purple or blue descending trend line right here, which just lines up around 1400 or so, and generally with this fake out. And after that, we could just likely move to around $1,300, $1,200 or so. And then that, I mean, that would probably just generally, I mean, that's essentially at that point, we're just retesting the previous lows. Once more, I don't really see that as being the most likely probability. In terms of moving average wise on this daily chart for Ethereum, we're above everything right now. So, I mean, seeing it start to move with strength back above 2000 would be the best thing to be looking out here for so far. Here for Cardano, we're sitting right in the middle of the moving average, or estimated moving average band. We're not really seeing, let's see, that RSI is not even accurate. All right, anyways, so if we start to lose this moving average band, or estimated moving average band around 38 cents, this next box, well, some of this ascending trend line range right here, going all the way back to our lowest low, lies around 36 to 33 cents. If lower, we see 31 to 28 cents. Once we lose that, likely the rest of the market's tanking on us again. But we want to see movement above all these moving averages once more, especially the 200 estimated moving average. And then breaking back above this black trend line, roughly around 42, 43 cents, and then moving above, obviously the previous local low at 45, 46 cents, but then seeing movement towards 48 cents, 50 cents, and then higher, obviously is going to be very good to see as well. All the stock market indices, you can see here for the SPX, just to briefly reiterate it, I believe we're heading into the next iteration of the 2008 crash. Again, I'll have cards linked at the beginning of the video that will have me more elaborately going over that and why that really seems, I mean, I don't want to say it absolutely because I like to speak in potentials and likelihoods, but I mean, according to the charts and according to the bank crashings and everything, and just the fact that the world is in utter turmoil and it doesn't seem to be getting better, I don't see any reason why these stock market indices are going to go up, although they could. But every single one of them right now, SPX we're looking at currently, right here on the New York Stock Exchange, we're getting an even more severe rejection than the SPX, and then the NASDAQ is starting to slowly see that. We're starting to see the RSI have a deviation to price, bearish divergence. What it looks like is that the New York Stock Exchange is kind of the leading indicator, and then after that it goes to the SPX, and then after that it goes to the NASDAQ. New York Stock Exchange looks worse than SPX, and then the NASDAQ. Also, all these fractal patterns I put in here are roughly playing out. We didn't go as high here on the New York Stock Exchange. I didn't even have one here for the SPX. We're getting obviously rejected from this box right here I've been pointing out for quite some time. Overall, again, just it doesn't look too good. If we continue to go down, losing here for the NASDAQ, 11.8 thousand, probably be the final nail in the coffin. For the New York Stock Exchange, really 14.5 thousand, which is fairly obvious because it's the lowest low we've set locally recently. And then obviously losing this 200, or my bad, the 800 estimated moving average right here around 13.8 thousand approximately would be the final nail in the coffin for that. And then here for the SPX, getting back below this descending, what was resistance, now it's acting as support, but we are, let's see, to quickly look at this, so we can see the slope right here for the support of the price is positive, and we're getting a bearish divergence. RSI is the opposite of that. So we're getting a bearish divergence here. This is the 4-day chart, so it's pretty reliable. So if we start to lose 3.8 thousand, also lining up with the 200 estimating moving average, then likely this 2008 light crash is insinuating, like I got done going over recently. Now looking at gold, again, the monthly chart, gold just set its highest high that is set, going all the way back to 2020. As I said in the last time I went over this, I don't attribute any gold value to gold, because I just don't, outside of it being the general store of value that it is, there's really nothing to use it for outside of like making jewelry or using gold as for electronic components. But to me, using gold as jewelry and electronic components just kind of further puts a dent in the value of it to me. I just don't, again, I don't find any value in precious metals. That's just me. But so far we are continuing to behave in a bullish fashion. I'm going to go ahead and say that it's probably going to go down. I just want to again point out this RSI trend that goes all the way back to 1979, 1980. You just look here, clearly pointed out, these black ellipses, the blue bubbles. I mean, we could go to the upside. This RSI is, you can see right here, we're starting to break out of this descending range that I pointed out, but we are also, as I said, price-wise, we've gone higher than we have recently, than we did going back to 2020, but the RSI is still lower than these two previous highs of 2022 of April and 2020 of August. So I mean, that's a minor, so an exaggerated bearish divergence we could be seeing there. If we look at the stock RSI right here, it could likely get rejected right here. We could see a quick move towards the upside. Perhaps we actually see a move of gold to not 2,800 or even 8,000. Maybe it moves to like 2,500 and prints an even more severe bearish divergence, and then it gets rejected from there down to, like I pointed out in here, 1,500. But I mean, realistically, all things considered, this is going to be me interjecting bias. The fact that blockchain solutions are eventually going to inevitably be adopted, I believe, for mostly tyrannical purposes. I do personally believe that Bitcoin is a Trojan horse in order to get people addicted to cryptocurrency, because it can make you a lot of money, and then not everybody's just naive or whatever, but a lot of people are just going to kind of blindly accept the CBDCs and the centralized governmental blockchain solutions, the stablecoin like Unicoin that I mentioned in one of my previous videos. But again, if we start to first off move below the estimated moving average band around 1,700, and then move below 1,500, it's likely going to insinuate a downside movement here for gold. And I don't know if I mentioned it in one of my previous videos, but I mean, when you compare either of the precious metals, whether it's gold or silver, the percentage gains of gold and silver compared to any cryptocurrency is like comparing a speck of dust to a star. Not only are the percentage gains far less in precious metals, but they happen over longer periods of time. So this exponentiates, for lack of a better term, the worstness of putting your money into precious metals. And a lot of people will be like, oh, there's less risk because it's been around longer. It's a tangible thing, unlike a cryptocurrency is. But a lot of people many at least, not necessarily the majority of people that say that, likely don't understand blockchain enough. And that's one of the reasons why people are more privy to put their money into precious metals. Because I mean, if you don't understand blockchain, I mean, you're not going to put your money into something you don't understand and you can't comprehend in an intellectual way. I mean, you can't put faith. At the end of the day, what gives something value is the faith that somebody puts into something with their consciousness. Like with your mind, you attribute something with value. Like you have value in a family photo because it's your family and it's associated with who you are. At the end of the day, somebody puts a faith-based value into a cryptocurrency because they've researched it and they're putting their faith in it because they believe that the utilization of its protocol is going to be a good thing for society. At the end of the day, everything you believe in, and some of you might disagree with me. I would also love for debate in the comment, or just constructive argumentative dialogue is always fun. But at the end of the day, everything you believe in is a faith-based belief. You don't believe in something without putting faith in it. Everything you believe in is a faith. Everything boils down to faith. And a lot of people that are scientists and atheists be like, no, I just believe in it. No, a scientist puts their faith in gravity. I mean, at the end of the day, we're just a bunch of humans on a floating rock in a massive universe that we'll never fully comprehend. I mean, like, none of us even know what these charts are going to do. I mean, like, at the end of the day, I'm just going to say it again. I mean, the reason why you believe in something is because you put a faith value of your consciousness, and you imbue this object, whether intangible or tangible, with your faith-based value. But outside of that tangent, here for silver, continues to move up similar to gold. We're not really seeing any major divergences or anything of that nature that I really want to point out. If we start to move and close above $26, $28, this is the monthly chart. I mean, you could take that down to maybe the daily, but realistically for the precious metals, I personally would just focus on the monthly, because it's been around for so long, and like we're obviously seeing, as I mentioned previously, just a massive cup and handle, which, as I said last time, could allude to the fact that these precious metals are going to go up, contrary to what I think is most likely, which, you know, could be biased because I personally just don't see any value in precious metals. Could very well be the factor in the case here, but anyways, if we start to lose $20 for silver, that's going to be kind of the first hammer to the head of its price. And then if we start to lose 18, 17 in alignment with the 200 estimating moving average, then that would likely be the final, if I had to say, hammer. Then we move down to our previous lows, and if we lose that, so $13, $14, then we'd probably head down around $10 to $6, as I mentioned. Here for XYO, obviously we're just continuing to go down. Most of the cryptocurrency market has been doing that. There's been some coins here and there, like JASMY, which I'll go over in a moment. It's continuing to go up, even though most of the cryptocurrencies market's not. Again, just zoom out. I mean, if you take everything into perspective here, I'm going to be going over the daily charts for all of these altcoins, like I usually do. But to zoom out, I mean, even though we've been going down slowly and gradually in the recent time, we've broken out of 16-month resistance. As I got done going over with Bitcoin on its higher time frames, it looks really good, all things considered, in the short time. If we take a look here, let's zoom back in. Right now, low Y is looking up for 0.004 for XYO is going to be something to pay attention to. There's not any, right now there's not any significant bullish divergences. I mean, you could say there's one here on this MACD. Like I said, the MACD and the stock, I mean, there's also one on the stock RSI, but those I've found in my time using these that it's not really good to rely on those for divergences, at least the ones that I use. And we are on the daily, so it's not like super strong, you know. Generally, I'm just going to go ahead and make this statement for all these altcoins. Again, I'm not giving financial advice, I'm just giving my opinion. And if you want to put value, if you want to fixate your faith on in my opinion and attribute value to it, like I just got done going over, by all means do so. But don't comment under my video saying that you lost money because of me, because at the end of the day, you make your decisions. I'm not trying to come off abrasive or anything right now, but it should be obvious. I mean, I don't make your decisions, and if you listen to some random person you don't actually know on the internet, I mean, it's not a smart decision. I'm just going to be honest. But overall, I mean, I would just say things look relatively, I mean, good. I don't think we're going to continue to go to the downside here. I mean, there's always a possibility that Bitcoin goes up and XYO tanks. Maybe XYO is going to die this time around. Who knows? Nobody knows anything in terms of what's going to happen with the market. But so looking towards the upside, starting to see XYO move back above 0.004546 and then 0.005. That's going to be price targets to look out for towards the upside. Then finally moving back above the 200 estimating moving average. Also this dashed green trend line. also just around that 0.006 area will be, I personally would be looking at that as strengthening factor to buy in, not necessarily buy in then, but as a strengthening factor that XYO is going to go up to its next pit stop towards the upside. If we look here at this XYO to Bitcoin chart, it looks worse than XYO-USD, but you know, again, zooming out, XYO-USD breaking out 60-month resistance, we're in this kind of falling triangle wedge pattern. That's a bullish pattern after a 60-month breakout. It's great to see. And on this XYO to Bitcoin chart, we are getting since November of last year to our current time, we're seeing a bullish divergence with respect to price. We can see we got our pink vector back here. But if we look in more recently, got a pink vector right here, and we're getting no pink vectors right here. So this does mean, even if I'm not looking at the RSI, I would know that this means we're getting a bullish divergence because we're not getting pink vectors at this second low right here. We might continue to go lower. We might retest the previous lows with regards to the USD chart that I got done going over. But overall, the fact that we've just gotten out of a prolonged bear market. We're seeing this many month-long bullish divergence. Bitcoin looks great. Ethereum looks good. Cardano looks good. All things considered, best idea is probably just to continue to hold, continue to DCA. I mean, really, that's kind of the best option to do. I'm sure many of you probably know, because the utter volatility of the cryptocurrency market. But here for Phantom, we're just continuing to trade within this highlighted pattern I've been going over recently. We're just, right now, let's go and zoom in. We see here we're straddling our 200 estimated moving average. We're sitting literally right on top of it right now. So if we start to lose that, and then even further lose 40 cents, then we could likely come down. Worst case scenario, well, I guess not necessarily. Best worst case scenario, we test 35 cents, and then if we lose 33 to 30 cents, not looking too hot. Probably everything else is going down. If we lose that, then we could come down to around 20, 22, 21 to 25 cents or so. Or, you know, maybe Bitcoin's going to go even lower and it's going to go to 10,000 or 9,000. I don't personally think that's going to happen, you know, once more to state it. But at the end of the day, who really knows? But if Phantom continues to move towards the upside here, most major thing to look out for is just seeing it break above 52 cents, aligning up with the 800 estimating moving average. And then obviously moving above 64 cents at its previous local high. Here for JASMY, like I said, this has been behaving. It's been going up when most of the market's been going down. That's good to see. We're finally really getting above this. Well, I'm not even going to zoom out because I drew it with respect to this flag pattern we're getting right here. So basically, we're getting finally a breakout above the flag pattern. We came down and retested. We moved up. Now we're getting what looks like we're likely starting to see this minor rejection. So perhaps JASMY is lagging. We've seen most of the market go down. So whenever, let's say that the rest of the market picks up here soon, and it starts going up, but then JASMY starts to go down, so it's lagging in that regard. But overall, JASMY is looking good. If it starts to significantly go back below 0.058, might want to watch out. But I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, I mean, generally, if the project, which I think personally JASMY has a good use case behind it, I mean, at the end of the day, any one of these teams behind any of these projects that, you know, they have a good use case. At the end of the day, I mean, the team could abandon it. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, I've said that many times, and I say it all the time. I mean, anything could happen. I mean, this could be one of the coins that's going to die. I mean, that's not necessarily something you can predict, but all things considered right now, it's looking pretty good. Here for THETA, again, let's just go ahead and zoom out here. You can see finally breaking above the longest term resistance. If I could duplicate this trend line, believe me, I would, but I can't because I don't, like I said, I don't know why, but TradingViews has been acting very funny recently. We come down, we're continuing to see this testing. We're not seeing any divergences I would consider right now, but we are, as you can see, getting support currently right now. We might end up breaking back below it if the rest of Bitcoin, etc., wants to go lower, but right now this could potentially either again, just to make a general statement for all the cryptocurrencies I've gone over recently, either we are now seeing the final best opportunity to buy before we see the swing into the next parabolic move, or we're about to see a retest to the previous local lows, which would then be the best opportunity to buy before the bull market begins. And I mean, I bet if then that happens, a lot of you are probably just gonna, and a lot of people are just gonna be like, oh no, it's going down to 10,000, going down to 14,000. But I mean, all things considered, again, just to restate it, I mean, I personally, I don't see it going lower than it already has. I mean, we might get a very, see if I can draw. I can't draw on this chart, but I mean, we might get a scare tactic back down and everything's going to retest its previous local lows. Some of these altcoins, like Algorand, which I haven't gotten on yet, would likely go lower than its previous local low. But at the end of the day, I mean, like going back to the whole faith-based value argument that I made, I mean, if you find value and you put your faith into a project you think is good, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all you have to go off of. I mean, if what you thought you could trust to put your faith in and find value in it, if it ends up, you know, burning you, I mean, that's just something you're going to have to learn from. I mean, you really got to make mistakes and take risks before you get to the point of, you know, actually developing a better intuition of what you should put your money into, where you should put it, when you should put it, what price to buy in, what to look out for, etc. But Theta, I mean, this will be one of the other coins that has a very good use case at the end of the day, has to do with basically like bringing blockchain solutions to like video platforms, like things like Twitch and like YouTube, just like online streaming and, you know, like VOD, you know, where you'd upload videos, it's things like that. So I mean, I think that's a fantastic use case. But right now we just want to see Theta move above our estimated moving average band. It's right now $1 to $1.05, and then after that 200 estimated moving average around $1.11. What kind of I'd see that as if we start to move with volume support, especially Bitcoin's, you know, doing its thing, going higher, you know, it's likely gonna be good to see there. Here for TRIAS, been one of the better movers so far. We are coming down and we're testing this what was resistance. Now it's being flipped into really the first time it's been used for support. So I mean, assuming Bitcoin bounces from here, TRIAS likely will as well, although that doesn't mean it will. I mean, Bitcoin could go up and TRIAS goes down, or Bitcoin could go down and TRIAS could go up. They're not always perfectly correlated, but typically they're, when I'm talking about alts with respect to Bitcoin, they're approximately correlated. They're not going to behave exactly like each other, but they behave very, very similarly. But if we do lose the, let's just say around $2.80 to the current $2.95 that we're at right now, then we'd head back down to around the 200 estimated moving average, around probably $2.50 approximately, and then lower than that around $2.35, 36 cents. If we lose that, then that's not going to be good. I mean, we could come down to around $1.89 to around $1.69, $1.70. And if we lose that, then I mean, we'd see around probably like $1.50 to around $1.25. Although, I mean, I'm not even going to even entertain any lower than that. If we get there, we get there. I don't personally, again, I don't think that's what's going to happen, but right now we just want to, best case scenario, we want to see a bounce here. We want to see us move back above this green trend line range I've drawn from around $3.73 to around $4, $4.11 or so. This is approximate range. Here for Dogecoin, I am, and some of you may be like, why would you do that? But I am currently looking at Dogecoin as kind of being a, not a, how should I say this most properly? Some sort of a leading indicator. Again, I'm just going to further fixate the attention on these three bubbles I've drawn back here, and these three bubbles I've drawn up here, which is equated to these pink arrows. That way I had two more drawn right here. Again, like I mentioned, we're in this, I think we're right here in this purple blob. This also lines up with that August scenario, August 2020 scenario that I was pointing out for Bitcoin on those higher time frame charts. We're seeing our final, you know, just move towards the downside, and before we get this massive parabolic leap, as you can see right here, towards the upside. So I mean, if that's true, as long as Dogecoin doesn't start to significantly go below range-wise 0.072 to 0.068, but approximately 7 cents, as long as it starts to not, as long as it doesn't significantly start to close open below that on no lower than around the 4-hour, but more really around the 12-hour to the daily, I would have to generally say that altcoins, or Bitcoin altcoins alike, they're gonna, the ones that are valuable and they're not gonna, die off, they're gonna continue to go up. And if we do see a bounce here soon, whether or not, Bitcoin goes a little bit lower, maybe Dogecoin tests this 7 cents I'm talking about, etc. For the other altcoins I've gone over so far, I mean, Dogecoin breaking above, first off, this 800 estimated moving average at around, just say approximately 8.5 cents, and then approximately 9 cents lining up with this this uppermost white resistance, also lining up with the 200 estimated moving average right here in this area. And then afterwards, right here, we have these, so this white trend line and this black trend line range right here, lining up around 10 to 11, 12 cents. I would say 13 cents, 13 to 14 cents is obviously, it's the most key area to look out for. It goes back up here with this recent relative high back in November of last year, which also just lines up with back here, this kind of range we traded relatively, obviously we're going down, but relatively sideways from around December 2021 to April 2022, which, as you can see, clearly just lines up with around 12 to 16 cents. I think once we do break 16, 15 cents or so, we'll see a pretty quick shot up to around 30 cents approximately or so. But here for CRU, I don't know why it's not on here, but recently I had an ascending wedge pattern drawn right here. We met our price target right here when we hit around approximately $1.04 in March. We've continued to trade sideways along that price target. If only my drawings were on here. I don't know why they decided to disappear again. TradingView has been acting super weird for me recently, but we're closing below that price target right now, which isn't necessarily good to see. So if Bitcoin continues to go lower, whether it's 2423 or down to 20,000, then we're likely going to retest our lowest lows here for CRU. Bitcoin continues to go lower than its previous absolute low, then likely that's the same thing for every single altcoin I've gone over so far. But CRU, kind of just as the to make really one comment on it, seeing it move back above the 200 estimated moving average right here to $1.40 is going to be, I would say, the major thing to look out for. Here it's a similar situation for Algorand. We are now below the lowermost box, this lowermost range I've set. We are getting, I suppose you could say, a subtle bullish divergence. The RSI is, obviously you can see it's got a downwards tilt right here, but it's kind of going sideways in a way, if you want to even look at it like that. Like I said, it's really not necessarily there, but it kind of is there. And I think it looks similar. Like if you look at the RSI right here and the RSI right here, and then you look at the way the price kind of slowly, gradually went down right here, and how it's doing right here at our current time, looks pretty similar to me. Also, if you look at the MACD right here and the MACD right here, it just, again, once more, kind of just looks similar. So assuming Bitcoin doesn't continue to go down significantly, then this is likely going to get a bounce here. If Bitcoin does go down a little bit more, likely would just, probably start to print more of a clear bullish divergence, price continuing to go down. Hopefully, best case scenario, no lower than the lowest it's already gone, but also at the same time, that would present a very good opportunity to buy. Obviously, if you're, take it that you're not scared to buy in, and because, it's going down to its previous absolute low, and for all you know, it could free fall down to 10 cents or even lower than that. But if in terms of movement towards the upside, seeing it obviously move above this trend line range, approximately 16 months, like I have on most of these charts, which it hasn't really significantly broken above so far. Also, just generally lines up with our estimated moving average bands. I mean, this is sitting 20 cents to 22, 21 cents right now. So once you start to see it close above that, find support. There's volume confirmation. Bitcoin's looking good as well. It's likely going to be, pretty good confirmation that this is going to continue to move towards the upside, especially if it takes out 26, 27 cents, 25 cents or so with volume support, strength, etc. But let's see here. So for MATIC has also been behaving pretty good recently, better than most of these other coins. I would zoom out, but like I said, trading views been. I probably need to close out every single one of the tabs on my computer and then reopen. I have a lot of tabs opened up on my computer. That's probably one of the reasons why. But right now we are coming down to our 800 estimated moving average, so this could be possibly a good area to find support on, especially if Bitcoin finds support. We aren't really seeing. Well, yeah, minor. Yeah, so we're seeing a subtle, minor, exaggerated bullish divergence here. I mean, that's good to see. Also kind of seeing it, on the stock RSI and the MACD. Like I said, I wouldn't put too much salt into the stock RSI and the MACD divergences. But nonetheless, we are seeing some form of exaggerated bullish divergence, which is definitely good to see. So if we start to see MATIC push above $1, $1.04, $1.07, $1.08, and then push above $1.25, especially with volume support, strength, Bitcoin's looking good, etc., likely going to continue to see movement towards the upside. Here for Digibyte, you can see we're testing our lowest ascending support right here. So again, just to make the general statement, since this is the last altcoin that I'm going to go over, you can see that all of these altcoins are, not all of them, but a lot of them are coming down to the ascending range of support that their current absolute lowest lows have found. So I mean, like I said earlier, either right now is the final moments, whether or not it goes down a little bit more, maybe Bitcoin goes down, like I said, 24, 23, 20,000, and the altcoins maybe lose like another, like, I don't know, let's say like, let me take a measurement here, like another, 10%, 15% at most or so. I mean, we're either seeing the best final moments to buy before things go absolutely buck wild, or we're about to see a fake out to our previous local lows, or worst case scenario, the bear market's not over and it tanks on us again. Everything does. I only think that's possible if a black swan event happens again, like for maybe the war, Ukraine, maybe that pushes more towards the Middle East and everything, the world's already in turmoil, the world goes into more turmoil. The bank crashes, the fact that more banks have, gone down, or leaning towards seeing a lot more crashing is good for cryptocurrency, because people are going to, start to realize that the banks are not a good place to have their money stored. So they're going to put it in like either precious metals or some sort of blockchain solution or cryptocurrency. But again, just to kind of wrap things up for the cryptocurrency analysis before I get into the statement that I want to make about my channel here. Overall, I wouldn't be looking at the charts too much right now. I wouldn't be checking it very frequently. It's only going to push your emotion towards a irrational, borderline neurotic side, especially because, even though things, like I said, they look great. I went back to this chart that we're looking at here on the monthly for Bitcoin Freeze, and this chart looks absolutely fantastic. Everything is alluding to the fact that Bitcoin's about to go into a very nice move towards the upside. So likely that's going to be the altcoins are going to do the same thing as well. I mean, again, at the end of the day, this channel is not worth financial advice. Hopefully my goal with this channel is that you don't use really any of the price targets that I'm saying, but hopefully you kind of you learn like a fisherman, not just giving his students fish, but he teaches them how to fish. That's kind of the point. And I started the channel to be educational, and I mean that in terms of like these indicators that I'm using right here. Is like like I pointed out, we have the pi cycle high-low indicator, we have the trader's reality indicator, these RSI bars that kind of pushes the derivative indicators such as the RSI and the stock RSI, and then the MACD momentum indicator. All of that is included in the coloring and the patterning of these candles, so you don't have to really look at these indicators. That's kind of the reason why I use these, So hopefully, this teaches you how to fish rather than me just telling you like when to put your money into the market, because like I said, this channel is not meant for financial advice, and I don't want it to come off that way either. But what I wanted to go ahead and say here is I was going to make a community post about it, because typically I like to type things out and get it across in a more articulated manner, because I free record these videos. I don't make a script for it. But if I haven't really been uploading too much recently anyways. I mean, roughly it's been about one video per week. But if that frequency becomes even broader, like maybe I start uploading once every 2 weeks, or maybe just once a month. I mean, that could be a possibility. I've recently just been, as some of you may already know, I don't think there's much time left in the world. I mean, like, I think I lean more towards the fact that there's only about approximately 7 years left. The world looks absolutely terrible. I mean, realistically, I mean, the content of this channel is utter vanity and futility. Money's worthless. It means it has value in a sense, yes, but it's worthless. Okay, it means nothing. And the reason why the fact that my channel's been really not seeing any growth whatsoever is not one of the reasons why I would stop posting as frequently. I don't care about that. I mean, I did start this channel because I did drop out of college, because for many reasons. And I started to invest in the market because I'll never have a college degree, so I can have a better financial security, because I won't have that degree. So I started this channel in hopes that, it would, take off, so I could start to earn, good income from it. So, I don't have to continue to work a 9-to-5 job in order to support myself. But nonetheless, obviously the channel it saw a good period of growth for a while. It's essentially flatlined, if not going down at this point, probably because of how open I am with my faith. The fact that it's in my intro, my outro, it's on my homepage of the channel, the fact that I've talked about the shadow New World Order government, the fact that I'm saying it right now, on a platform such as YouTube, being associated with big tech. My account's probably shadow banned to some sort of degree. The algorithm definitely doesn't favor my videos, I mean, as I've been told in the past. But I mean, hopefully, none of you take this the wrong way, but I mean, like I got done saying, I am a person of faith. I've mentioned that I'm a Messianic Jew. I'm not ethnically Jewish, but, if you've read Romans chapter 2, if you go down to the bottom, I mean, we've all been grafted in to the vine. We're all Commonwealth of Israel, etc. I mean, I'm spiritually Jewish in the fact that I don't observe Christmas or Easter because they're pagan holidays. Easter is actually Passover. Christmas is actually Hanukkah. Hag Shavuot is coming up. So, I mean, and I do my best to adhere to the Jewish dietary law, so that's where the Jew side comes in, of Messianic Jew. I believe in the Christ Jesus, or Yahushua HaMashiach, though is prophesied all throughout the Old Testament. It's blatantly clear that he's, especially if you read the book of Isaiah. Again, because like I said, I mean, the content of this channel is utter futility and vanity. I don't think there's much time left, so I kind of just don't really see the point in really uploading anymore. I know a lot of you, there's a number of you that enjoy my content and things like that, and I do appreciate the fact that you enjoy the content. But I also do have another channel that I have yet to upload yet. I've been talking about that on my community tab, but it will be the other channel oriented towards religion, and then I will talk about science as well, but I'm going to make the fundamental crux of why science is because there's a God, and he has a name. His son has a name, which I mentioned, as Christ Jesus and Yahushua HaMashiach. But I mean, at the end of the day, the world looks terrible. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. They're pushing gender transition ideology and LGBTQ ideology upon children as young as elementary. It's wrong. I mean, I don't have any hatred towards, homosexuals, gay, lesbian. I don't have any hatred at all towards anybody. I'm commanded to love my neighbor as I love myself, and to love God with all my heart, mind, and soul. I'll state it, I don't hate anybody, but I mean, there is an objective foundation to the reality that we live. There's an objective fabric of morality and ethics, and in all honesty, this LGBTQ transgender ideology, it's satanic and it's evil. Okay, you're warping the image that we were made in. Male, there's only male and female, yes. And if there's some of you that are, you know, a part of the LGBT community, or etc., feel free to unsubscribe. That's, you know, you have the right to do so. Again, like, I don't have any hatred towards you, but I mean, I just disagree with how you're living your life. And hopefully, you do come to repentance. You do come to see the fact that you are, I mean, you're living a wrong lifestyle, and there is something after this life that we live. Something, and it's not a something, but it's a personal, intimate creator who made this reality we experience. If this life that we live, this reality of consciousness that I'm talking to you through right now, is all that there is to the essence of our being, then in all honesty, what a waste this is. There has to be, there is something more to reality and our human beingness than what we're living right now. And I just hope you all, you know, come to the God that made you in his image, that you come to accept the spirit, the breath of life that truly does indwell within the very center of every single one of your souls. You do not breathe, I do not breathe, no one walks, no one does anything at all, but only they do it because God has yet to take his breath of life away from their soul. You only live because God is allowing you to live. If he wanted to, if he took his breath of life from you right now, you'd drop dead instantly. The only thing that what keeps you living is not fundamentally your biological algorithms and the fact that your cells are protecting you from cancerous cells. It's not the fact that your lungs are doing a proper functioning and you're remembering to breathe, you know, when you need to. It fundamentally, what controls that is it's God. Okay, I mean, there is a fundamental, there's a limit to what man can know in his knowledge, what he can understand. The wisdom which a man can obtain is only a very small, it's an infinitesimal fraction of what is actually known to the mind of God, which the mind of God knows anything and everything. He knows you better than you know you. He knows your thoughts before you even become aware of them. And he yearns so much to make a personal connection with you, to have a communion with you, because, like I said, there's more to this life than what we're living right now. Don't choose to deny he who knitted you in the womb of your mother, just because of the desires that your sinful flesh want you to fulfill in this life. And once more, there's so much more. There is something after this life. And I only hope that if any of you are still listening at this point, that my words, only through the will and the Holy Spirit of God, sink into the very fabric of your soul and your being, and you begin to recognize he who resides within you, who's knocking at the door of the heart of your soul, wanting so badly to let you in, because there is an eternity after this life that you can't even fathom. You'll be able to run without being tired. You will quite literally be able to spiritually, in quotes, fly. You'll literally be able to, everything and anything you wanted to do in this life, you'll be able to do. And even more than that, because it's eternity. There's things about it we can't even begin to even imagine. Anyways, I believe that ends my tangent. Hopefully you all enjoyed the content. Hopefully I didn't rub anybody the wrong way. I mean, even if I did, it doesn't really bother me. And I don't say that to be abrasive or like I don't care about your feelings or anybody else's feelings. But I mean, I'm not gonna get upset over the fact that my words offended somebody. But, you know, once more, hopefully you enjoyed the content. Hopefully you learned something, you know, that you can apply to your trading, because that is the reason you came to this channel, even though how utter futile and vain all of this is. But outside of all of that, everything being said, I hope you all have a blessed day.
Ooh, I'm regretting now, won't I see you forever start to